How is the COVID quarantine affecting relationships and social dynamics? Let's take a look. Facebook's COO and author of Lean In, Sheryl Sandberg, is now calling for gender equality in the home because everyone is working from there. She's seeing that on top of professional responsibilities and obligations, women are bearing the brunt when it comes to housework and childcare. Now, this is something that's been happening for a while, but she's seeing it amplified now that mandatory homeschool is in effect. Look, I'm all for gender equality in the home between two working parents. But you don't even have to call it gender equality. You could just call it making your spouse's life easier. Or love. Revolutionary concept, I know. Because of all the questions surrounding this, I wanted to ask Dr. Brad Wilcox, a family scholar, about what changes he sees coming after the coronavirus quarantine regarding family life, love, relationships, and marriage. He seemed to think the coronavirus may give us an unintended consequence, mainly the death of self-centered marriage, an idea that became popularized in the 1970s.
I think in this new world, when we're going to be facing unprecedented unemployment, potential reoccurring waves of this pandemic, and many, many other challenges, people are going to come to appreciate much more how having a spouse and having a family in their corner puts them in a better spot, puts their kids in a better spot, and they're going to take both a kind of a more practical and even maybe principled sort of approach to marriage and family that puts sort of their family first rather than the desire to be, constantly fulfilled or happy in some kind of romantic way in their marriage.
I then asked him if he thought divorce rates would go up or down.
The reason I kind of am predicting less divorce in the near term here is we saw a pretty dramatic decline in divorce in the wake of the Great Recession. It's come down more than 20% since the Great Recession in the US. We also saw a decline in divorce in the Great Depression back in the 1930s. So I think in the wake of those two major economic, crises, a lot of Americans became more cautious about leaving their marriage. And I would expect the same thing coming out of this current pandemic and recession.
With Dr. Wilcox predicting that divorce rates would go down, I wanted to ask him if he thought marriage rates would go up or down, especially for my generation, a generation already delaying marriage.
One of the clear downsides to this recession now that we're in the midst of is that a lot of young adults who are kind of looking for a partner, looking for a spouse, are going to be more hesitant to go forward in a world that seems to be turned upside down, both economically and otherwise. So I think that's certainly one of the downsides. Although it's possible too that kind of longer term, that sort of the appeal of being a single may diminish. One thing we're seeing in a recent survey that we did with AI is that young singles are more lonely, and so they may be kind of more willing to move ahead with the relationship once the sort of the quarantine lifts or once the stay-at-home orders lift.
Dr. Wilcox also hopes that the quarantine will inspire some changes when it comes to dating and courtship.
There was an article in The Atlantic talking about how people are more likely to, in the wake of all this, to sort of pursue their crushes, to articulate their interest in someone. And I hope that's the case. In terms of, it's like, you don't want to kind of take time now to sort of, or you don't want to lose the opportunity to get to know someone where there might be some promise. But only time will tell if people are going to be, if men are going to be more likely, for instance, to take the initiative once this sort of quarantine lifts.
I wouldn't hold my breath per se, but I do think it's something to be hopeful for when self-quarantine lifts. Hopefully the spirit of romance will lift with it. I'm Jessica Kramer for MRC TV. Thanks for watching.